Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Finish Line 2020 episode 30. I'm sorry I don't have my camera on right now, but it is just an art stream today. We're not doing any music or anything like that. We're just going to be making something festive yet abstract for the holidays. So I hope you can join me. Thanks very much for coming in. I'm going to start off the way I usually start my art projects, with a scribble, and then we'll work from there. So the concept I'm thinking of, I'm using the pencil tool right now, and we're just going to do some of this, and then that. Something along that line, and I think we can actually move it over towards the middle here, so we get it a little bit more centered. As close to the center as we can there. Alright, so that'll stay there. So let's think, and I do want to get your input on this. Piece. See what you would want to see for something like this. Again, festive themes, so I'm thinking of festive colors. You obviously think of red and green for Christmas. Maybe something along the line of gold. I don't know how to do anything sparkly on this program here, but we'll see what we can come up with. I'm gonna pull up the paint feature and pick like a nice. That might be a little bit too bright, honestly. Something along the lines of right here. We're going to put that. Maybe we'll do the stuff on this side red, and then the greens over here. Oops, I dropped my pen. Be right back. Okay, sorry about that. But so let's pick a tool here. I always like to go with an oil painting feature for these. Let's see what we can do about glaze. So we'll have the big parts here. These will be red. These two pieces here. So let's see what we can do. Oops, I almost forgot. To change the layer. There we go. We're going to move this layer down here and start working on this. Now the good thing about doing digital art is that you can erase and redo. That's why I like doing this, and I'm not in any rush. I do want to do, regular actual painting sometime in the future, but I'm not in any rush to do so. I'm trying to build up my skills on here before I start moving along that avenue. So let me do this. Bring that up over here. And once we fill this in, we'll fine tune around the edges there. Erase it a little bit. Let's fill in here. And I'm sorry that I don't have a tracer, so you can't see exactly what it is I'm doing and where I'm doing it, but this is what we have right now. Okay, we have the eraser tool, so let's take a deep look into this and erase around the lines there. Once we get everything filled in here, we're going to you know, outline it with much darker paint, a nice dark black or brown, I think. Actually, I think we'll go with brown this time, just because things are so different. And I think I've seen a little bit of brown associated with the holidays. Not to nearly as much of an extent as red or green, which is what we're working with today, right now. But it's been there. If you're curious, I'm doing this on Adobe Fresco, which is an iPad application. It's supposed to coincide well with Photoshop, which I use on my computer. So I can easily edit the final piece doing whatever in Photoshop. I probably won't be doing that once this piece is complete, but I have the option to if I so want to. Let's go back to the paint feature and do this next red up here. Again, we're painting with what is supposed to be a glaze oil paint. It's not as much of a glaze or gloss as I'm sure many would prefer, but I do like the way it looks. I do like the oil paint features on this program. But this is what we're working with right now. And I'm not going to use just this shape here. If I zoom out, this is the scribble that we came up with when we started this. This will not be the whole painting, I promise you. I like to make things like this a little more interesting. So let's finish filling this in. Okay. Now let's erase around the edges again. Oops. That's the thing about art. You gotta make a lot of mistakes in order for it to be right. I've done a lot of pieces here on the iPad that I would never show to the public. I've shown it to my Patreon, so if you would like to see those, I don't know why you would, but if you did, you can find that at patreon.com/KyleHandsherrick. Where memberships start at $1 a month and go up to $20 if that is something that you would like. All my patrons get to see the artwork and several other member exclusive features. I also do Patreon exclusive live streams, and exclusive concerts. The last one I did was actually was all the songs on what I'm working on for my upcoming album. The songs are almost finished. As a matter of fact, the final episode of the Finish Line 2020, which will be on December 30th, will be all the songs that have been finished for the new record. Right now I have 13 tunes that I've written over the course of the last year and a half or so. Maybe even longer, if I had to be honest. But I showcased those tunes to my Patreon supporters. And for the last episode of the Finish Line 2020, we'll be showcasing that to the public. I'm still working on it. In fact, this week is Hell Week when it comes to that. I'm working a lot on them, and I'll be spending a lot of time working on it, perhaps through a couple nights, because that's just how I work. But that's what I'm going to be up to. Of course, I'll be taking off for the Christmas holiday, because we're going to have family visiting here. I mentioned before in a past stream that the traditional Christmas plans that we have for the year were actually canceled, which is for the best, considering what's going on with COVID and everything. I can certainly understand it. We traditionally go up to an aunt and uncle's house in Jersey, but they decided they weren't going to do it this year. Not to mention the fact that their youngest son, my older cousin, just got over a battle with COVID. He's better now. He is better now, but it did take him out for a little while. So we're wishing him well tonight. Oops. There we go. Keep going with that green around the edges here. I like working with the paint feature on this program. I like the texture of paint, as opposed to just solid colors that just kind of don't really have any features at all. We have these features available in this program, but I rarely ever use them. That's why all of the art pieces that I release and send out into the world have the paint-like patterns on there. You can see them there. So I'm working a lot with this as opposed to that. If you don't know what I mean, I'll actually show you as soon as I finish erasing around the edges here. Oops, went a little too far there. There we go. Let's do that. And then around here, did a little too much again. Fix that. Let's get around the edge here. All right, let's patch that up. And here we are. Be a little bit more careful with the eraser tool here. Work a little bit slower. My instinct is to do really fast brush strokes, but I really should not be doing that all the time. I have to learn how to learn how to work around that a little bit more. But I'll show you what I was talking about earlier with the brush feature as opposed to the vector feature, which is what this is called. You do this, we'll do the basic round to demonstrate. See how it's just solid like this? See, this works well if you're in like a more professional setting, but I'm not. I'm an amateur artist. I choose to not get this. This is the kind of application that you use for like animation and stuff, for solid colors. But we don't do that here, so we're going to erase that. Let's let me widen the eraser tool here for this. Get rid of that. And it doesn't erase the already live brush tool. So we don't need that. So let me go back to the live layer. And go back to the live paintbrush, so we can do this. We can do this my way, with the brush strokes visible. At some point, I'll probably do an art piece with the vector brush, so you don't see the brush strokes and things like that, but that time is not today. Go back to full screen here, do this. Let me brush this up a little bit. Erase the outline. Oops. Again, with those fast brush strokes, I have to stop doing that. There we go. That's a lot better. Over here. Am I still on that big width? Yes, I am. Okay, back to this. Okay, let me just erase one more thing up the top here. All right, we got this. So this is our starting look here. Let's go back to the layers here. We can actually delete this layer. So let's do that. This is our pencil layer. We're going to add another layer, and we're going to do, and I think this is actually where we can use the vector brush. We're going to go back to black, and we're going to do let me favorites here, because again, I rarely ever use this. So let's go with a basic flat here. We're going to do the outline we're going to do the outline here. So let's start with here. Okay, that wasn't quite right. So let's redo that again. Carefully, not too wide. All right, that's part one. Let's circle down the bottom here. And that. Quick erase of this part here. Back to the vector brush and around this. That's not a good line. It's too far down. Okay, let's widen this up a little bit. We'll work around that. We'll figure that out. Around the green. Twice more, once here around the red, and finally right here. All right, it's not the cleanest, but it'll do for now. Now we need a whole separate shape to go around it. Let's go back to the pencil. Back to the pencil tool and do another kind of scribble here. Let's see. Something that goes in the other direction to make kind of an X. Okay, that's decent. We can work around that. Let me see if we can get like something goldish. Something a little brighter. Let me see how this works. Oops, wrong layer. I feel like it could be brighter. It's too bright. Let's try that. Yeah, I think that can work. So let's do this. We'll once again using the live brush tool. To go around like this and down. You get a little bit of a color blend in there, as you can see. I accidentally mixed in with some of the red with the yellow, since they're in the same layer. But I like the effect of that, so let's keep it. Go around here. And brush through all this down here. this piece here, and again, we'll erase the parts where we go too far. Hopefully that's not too much. Okay, now we got this, oh, let's fill this in a little bit more up top there. Good, and fill the rest of it in. Here we go. All right, that's good. Now we're going to erase around here. That's good. And now down here. Good stuff. And here, right along the line here, good. This can be kind of arduous work sometimes, very detailed. So this is what it looks like now. Now what do we want the bottom end to be? We want that to be a certain color. Well, I think before we do that, I think we need to put the eraser tool down on here with the pencil markings. Let me widen that a little bit. Get rid of these inside there. We're not going to need those. But the style of artwork that I do, the iPad application is not really the best for like the final piece here. It's more for drafting and figuring out what to do next. But I don't have the means yet to do you know, live painting and stuff. At least not yet. I'm not that skilled yet. I want to feel like I'm getting there, but it's been a while since I've done a ton of artwork. So we're figuring this out. So let's do this. With the same color as we did up top. So in doing this, let's trace around here, around the border there. We'll erase that later. And fill in the rest of this with the something along this line, down here. Do broad strokes around down there to open up the features a little bit. And finally, up in here. Yeah, I like that brushstroke look. It's good for the stuff that I'm doing now. So that's our piece as it looks now. We're going to go back to the vector layer and work around this stuff. Whoops, that's not what I wanted. I wanted to go back to black. There we go. That's pretty decent. Feel like I might be pressing down a little bit too hard here. All right, that's pretty decent. We'll probably erase the really broad parts of it, trim them down to where I want them to be. And of course, you know, this is not going to be like a final piece or anything like that. This is just one draft of many that I hope to be out by Christmas time, and be released on Facebook and stuff, and seeing what we can do with that. So now what I think we can do, going back to the pencil piece again, going back to the pencil layer, we're going to pull up a ruler, and we're actually going to do this with the pencil layer. Make sure I'm getting all of it. Yeah. Draw a straight line here, and draw another straight line right at the edge of these, pieces. And we'll see what else we can add. Actually, I'm going to go back over here and do another line along this end here. So that's another part. And we're actually going to do the same thing horizontally. The tablet's tipping a little bit, so I better make sure that stays nice and straight so that I can work on. Do one up here. Perfect. And then one down here, right at the borders of this piece. I like that. Now we need some kind of color scheme that goes along with it. Something that we can use. Most of the colors that we've been using have been kind of vibrant. Let's see if we can do something along the Christmas line of things that's a little bit darker. Maybe we'll try a darker shade of red to start with. Actually, let's do this on the vector layer. let's do this with the vector brush. Since I'm talking so much about not using it, I think now would be a good time to use it. Well, that's strange. I didn't know I could do that outside of the canvas. Hold on, let me go back for a second. See if I can do that on the real. Okay, we'll stick with using the live brush in that, if that's the case, because the vector brush allows us to color outside of the canvas, which we don't want to do. Okay, filling up here. Okay, so I think we got this all filled in. Let's erase on the outside lines. Actually, let's fill in this part here. Perfect. And erase it. Darn it. Almost had that. Let me move this back down again. Here we go. It's much more fine-tuned eraser tool when I do it like that. Now, down here, so this, and because I did the pencil lining on the ruler tool, it allows the pencil to be a much darker shade, so it's much easier to see around where I'm going and where I need to erase. I think I can increase the eraser tool a little bit. I don't want it to be that fine-tuned right now because of the darker outline, and that I can see a little bit better. So coming down here, so that's our first little square there. Let's do a darker green for the opposite end. Let's go really dark with this one. Here. So we got all of this space to work with on this, on these squares here. Except of course for these two right here. We'll figure out what to do with them at a later date probably. I'm just going to fill in the large pieces, and then I think we'll close up the stream. And I'll take my time in figuring out what we can do with the rest of this piece and continue drafting it and working on it, and hopefully have something out for you on social media along this line on Christmas Day. At least that's what I'm hoping. We'll see what we can do with it. Erase here. Let's see. Let me just check around to make sure. Here's a spot here we can do without. There are two right here. There's one. There's two. There's a big one right here. These are very slight spots. Most of you are probably not able to see it, but it's something that I notice and it kind of gets on my nerves. Get rid of these two blobs here. Don't need to work on those yet. Alright, so these are the layers we have. Now we're going to work on the three big vertical ones. And I think we need to try something. We need to try something different with the outer walls here. Let's try going for, go back to the regular brush. Let's try doing a brown. A brownish, something a little brighter, but not quite orange. So let's see if we can make this work for a festive piece. Oops. There we go. Now let's continue going down all the way over here. Fill all of this in. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. Let's erase the pops here. We'll go up top, erase the lines up there. Oh, there's nothing up top. Sweet. And then we'll do down here, go all the way down this line. Do a tiny spot here. Spot here now. Cool. Oops, miss a spot here. Okay. And there's here. And finally, right here. I actually need to use the eraser tool again. this. There we go. Okay, so that's 3 out of the 5 big squares. So now let's see, what can we do with these two? Let's look at our color wheel. I've always been partial to blue. Let's try dark blue. Let's try a dark navy-ish blue for the next, for the outer square here. That can actually look pretty good. I want to do a piece in the future with kind of a night sky theme, with with the entire canvas coming out in the nice navy blue like this one. Maybe make some stars and stuff. It's something to put in the bank for now. Fill all this in. Darken it a little bit down here. Now, these are the kind of colors where the vector brush works a little bit better than the live brushes, which is what I'm using now. Because those brush lines, they really stick out like a sore thumb on darker colors. Let me mute that here. We keep getting email notifications on my computer, but I don't need them right now. We'll figure that out. Okay, let's widen the brush, because this is a very wide, that's much better. Go all the way to down there. Zoom in a little bit. Oops. Okay. Now let's erase. We have a lot of erasing to do on this one. All right, we got the bottom line. Let's get the side up here. Get right up here. We got this. A little further up. Just make sure. Yeah, I accidentally didn't undo. I need to get they make these special type of gloves for like tablet drawing or iPad drawing that prevents any it's supposed to prevent any any input onto the screen from your hand, because I'm using an iPad with an Apple Pencil to draw right now. But the option is always there to use, your finger and stuff, and use the touch screen for stuff like that. But I don't like that. I don't like using that at all. There were no lines. Oh, here's one. And because of that, I end up sometimes undoing things that I don't want to undo. And it ends up not so great for me. All right, we just have one more square to do, and then we'll close up the stream, and then I'll continue working on this project for the future. Let's try something a little brighter. A little bit, like not too much. Maybe like a sky blue, along turquoise or teal, along that line. That's too bright. Let's do it right here. We'll do that final square along the side. Oops. There we go. Now I gotta be careful going along this side, make sure that the colors don't blend. I could just put this in another layer, but this is more fun. Okay. Down. Much further down. Okay. All right, so that went better than expected. So now we just fill in down here. We just scribble that. Perfect. And we have less to erase. Thank goodness. Just the bottom and top lines. That's one. And that's two. Perfect. All right, so this is what we have of this piece so far. I will develop it further and add more to it, and continue to draft it, and if we're lucky, I'll have it out on social media by Christmas. But that is going to do it for today's live stream. Thanks very much for tuning in. We'll be back here again. I'm going to be taking the holiday off from streaming, and instead we're going to come back on December 27th, which is a Sunday, at 7 o'clock for a request show. So if you have any requests for me, for any tunes that you would like to hear on Sunday, please let me know. I'll be posting about it on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all those other great places. And one more time, the concert will be at 7 p.m. on Sunday. And then after that is the final episode of the Finish Line 2020 on December 30th, which is a Wednesday. And that will be a list of all new songs. So I hope you stick around. I hope you like the Facebook page and follow me on Twitter if you have that. And then of course, if you're interested in financial support, you can join me on Patreon at patreon.com/KyleHencherek for a membership as little as $1 a month. Or if you just want to make a one-time donation, you can go to paypal.me/KyleHencherek and give whatever you please. If you can't give, that's okay. You're not under pressure to do anything of the sort. But this is going to do it for me. Thanks very much for tuning in. I will see you on Sunday. You guys have a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holidays. Peace and love, you guys.